This video is not for whales and dolphins, it's for you, because you are just like me, and just like me, you might be looking at the 4 characters and coming in 2.4 and thinking, oh my word, who am I supposed to spend my polychromes on? If that's the case, you're in the right place. Let's talk about it. Okay, so there are 4 agents coming in 2.4. We've got new characters, Dialyn and Banyue, and then we've got reruns for Hugo and Ellen. Let's start off with Dialyn and what Dialyn does. Dialyn is a physical stun agent, and the big thing about her, the key part of her kit, is that she basically provides an extra ultimate at the start of stun, so she can give an entry ult from filling up her bar instead of a chain attack. So instead of a chain attack when you would normally start a stun with a chain attack, she can instead give one of your other characters an ultimate, which is insane. Very cool. This is going to mean that you can use ultimate more in a fight, which is fantastic, and you're pretty much guaranteed to use 2 ultimates in a stun rotation as long as you have your 3000 decibels as well, which again, very, very cool. She can also trigger an ultimate without it being part of a chain, but then it will use up more of her bar instead of like a little bit less of her bar. So that is also something to consider. If you wanted to do ultimates outside of stun, then that is something that she can help to do. For some characters, this is going to be amazing, and for others, it might not be as much of a big deal, but for pretty much every DPS, it's going to be useful. More ultimates, which are normally the highest damaging move for more of your characters, is going to be great. There's not really a downside here. She gives Puffer Electro a little bit more usability, for attackers at least. The pen 2-piece isn't necessarily that good for Rupture, but the ultimate damage bonus, considering that you're going to be doing more ultimates, is great. And then also the attack bonus post-ultimate, it means that you can have full uptime on that, at least during stun, because you know that you're going to be starting your stun with one ultimate, and then you're going to do another ultimate during stun, probably. In some cases, it's probably best to save your Decibel ult for a little bit later in stun, because you don't necessarily want to waste any stacks or something on someone like Evelyn or Yuan. You actually may as well just start with it because it's free, because of Dialyn, at the start of the rotation, and then you can do another one a little bit later on. It's kind of crazy. She also grants a stun damage bonus and stun extension, so yeah, I feel like she's stealing from all of the best stun agents that we've had so far. The stun extension from Lighter, the stun damage bonus from Qingyi, and honestly, Dialyn might be Qingyi to physical Boogaloo. Genuinely, her kit is absolutely stacked, and honestly, if you're considering one character out of 2.4, I think Dialyn is probably the way, but you might need a DPS, and if you do, then the other 3 characters have got you covered, because you've got some options. Option number 1 will be Hugo. So Hugo is a general crit-based ice attacker, and he typically works by stunning the enemy and then bringing them out of the stun with a big totalized damage hit, and then stunning them again and then using the totalized. Typically, you're going to want to run him with 2 stun agents so you can hit those stuns really quickly. Plus, he gets an extra bonus from running with more stun agents. I don't really think that there's too much that exciting to say about Hugo. I think the thing is that if you already like Hugo, then sure, you can go for him. I think at this point and at this stage in the game, I really don't think that he's a great pickup. The enemies that he used to kind of excel against, stuff like marionettes that were Ice Weak, regular bosses, and Deadly Assault, we don't see them anymore. So it means that you're kind of pushing him into content that's not necessarily designed for him, either Ice Weak Rupture bosses or Ice Weak Anomaly bosses, which seems to be what we're getting. We're getting Wandering Hunter, we've had Dead End Butcher, potentially Bringer might come back. I guess what I'm saying is that Hugo is a character that you can pull if you like him. And if you like him, then go for it. But honestly, he's unlikely to get content that's tailored to him at this stage until we probably get another ice-based crit attacker. So you might be waiting a little while for something that really benefits Hugo. And a similar thing is what I'm going to say about Ellen. But before we get onto that, this is your reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Like and subscribing is a great way to support creators like me on YouTube. You can also drop me a follow over on Twitch, and you can join the Discord. Let's get on and start talking about Banyue. So Banyue is a fire rupture agent with a really high skill ceiling, it looks like so far. He's got quite a few timing-based mechanics, and it's referred to as perfect cancel, where you're pressing the input at the correct time, and it actually increases his damage and speeds things up, brings his bar up a little bit faster, and yeah, basically, you're going to want to nail his perfect timing. And much like Soldier 11, some of the alt chain cancels and stuff, like once you start getting used to it, I'm sure you're probably going to be fine. For me, I never got used to Soldier 11. Okay, don't come for me, okay? There's some additional potential for combo building, because you can, it seems like you can switch up between his basics and special attacks, and he kind of like can flow between them. So there might be some kind of optimal combo that's worked out eventually. We may very well know that from pre-release guides and stuff. So that might be something to keep an eye out for. He can also enter an invulnerable state with his EX special to avoid dropping these combos, and he can also perfect block, which is where he turns to stone if you kind of do get hit when he's doing some combos and stuff. Now, when his bar is full, he enters his special 4-armed state, and then he unlocks a new special combo from just pressing special 4 times, and it finishes with that big attack, Toppling Mountain. And if you do the timing mechanics during this mode, it increases the speed of attacks and also the damage, and then at the end, he sends all of his balls into the mountain. Bro, if someone like heard me say that just like out of context, they'd be like, what is even this game? As mentioned though on the live stream, it seems like he really wants on-field time, so he's going to work well with off-field supporting teammates. He was run in the live stream with Lucia and Jufufu. I think that those are probably going to be characters that are going to be his best in slots on release. It seems like Banyue is someone who's really going to want to be on field to get those combos in. And even when you enter like his 4-armed state, like you're going to stay in that state for a little while, and then you're going to want to make the most of that state by doing lots of damage. I do think that potentially he might be really tricky to play. It might be quite tough to squeeze everything you need to in a stun window, because considering that potentially if he stays in that state for a little while, maybe enough for you to do 2 combos or something, then you want to squeeze all of that in, plus his ultimate in a stun window. I think he might be kind of tough for most players to play, but honestly, yeah, he looks super cool. I think it's just a little bit of a shame that he's a fire rupture agent, and we got given a free fire rupture agent in Minato in 2.3. So I think a lot of players might probably consider skipping him just based on that, the fact that they have a Minato who can cover the fire rupture as and when it's needed. And Manato's really good, by the way, but that also kind of means that to justify Banyue being a limited S rank above Minato, I think he kind of has to hit pretty hard, so he might be quite substantially better at pushing into more neutral content as opposed to rupture content. So that is maybe something to consider if you did want Banyue. Also, husbando of a meta, come on. Just like, yeah, the lion does not concern himself with the talks of Void Hunter next patch, okay? All right, okay, so last character that's rerunning is Ellen. All right, let's talk. Ellen got a buff back in 2.0. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. But Ellen got a buff a little while ago, and this is the first time we've been able to pull for her since then. I think it's such a shame, though, that we didn't get to pull for her when there was actual content that would have benefited her a little bit more. Pulling Ellen now, it's kind of similar to pulling Hugo now, right? So Ellen is an ice attack agent, and a lot of the content just isn't really working for ice attack agents. When we think about the Ice Week bosses, they're either rupture bosses or they're anomaly bosses. And as much as you could force Ellen into that, she's going to need good support in order to get through it nowadays, considering, you know, things have gone up, HP's gone up, stuff like that. So I think if it's waifu over meta for you and, you know, Sharkmaid is why you started playing the game, then yeah, sure, go for it, man. Yeah, her design is probably still the best in the game. I think it's so sick. But pull value, if you want to call it that, is just not super high. I'm sorry. I said it, and I feel bad now. So final thoughts overall on the 4 characters that we have in terms of like, should you pull any of these 4 agents? I think Dialyn for some of the older players who, you know, want to continue to buff up their teams is probably a pretty solid pickup. She's going to work great with Rupture. She's going to work great with attack agents. And also she might actually just enable some really fun, cool stuff to do, even if she isn't necessarily a big upgrade over someone like Jufufu. But I think in certain circumstances with certain characters, she probably will be quite a step up over someone like Jufufu, someone like Trigger, someone like Chingy. So Dialyn is probably the pick for most players. However, on the other side of things, if you're more in the market for a DPS, I think, yeah, the ice attack DPSs, it's great that they're getting reruns for the people who like them, and I'm happy for them. If you like them, then by all means pull them. You will still be able to force them through content. There will still be Ice Week bosses. It's just it's not going to be designed around them, so it's not going to be an easy and smooth ride. You're going to need limited S ranks to support them. And as long as you know that going in, it's okay. In terms of Banyue, I think, you know, considering they've got Minato for free, you know, like it might not be the best pick for a lot of players, but again, if you like him, then by all means, I think you should go for it. And that's about enough out of me. As always, remember to like and subscribe for better than average luck on all your pulls. Responsibly, stay weird. Bye.